I got a problem. I got a strange addiction. Somebody help me. I need an intervention. It ain't alcohol or weed. There's just one thing that I need. I got an addiction to fruit trees. Got an addiction to fruit trees. I take a persimmon to breathe. Hey, the next one I'm getting jujube. Got an addiction to fruit trees.
Peace, family. Just a quick thought that I wanted to kind of present to the family, just to kind of see what y'all's thoughts are on this. As you can see by the title of this video, I want to ask about saving seeds. Saving seeds. So as gardeners, we all talk about saving seeds, which, I believe is absolutely the right thing to do. I think it's beneficial for a lot of reasons. And I hope you all can hear me. I'm in my car with the AC running right now. But, we save seeds for one so that we can, if there's a vegetable or fruit that we like, we don't have to rely on anybody to provide us with seeds anymore. We can save the seeds from what we grow, and we can continue to produce from those seeds and, not have to purchase them anymore. Which, is definitely good because that's one step towards self-sufficiency. Another reason that we save seeds is so that when we do continue to grow from the seeds that we save, whether it's seeds that we purchased or if you had a fruit or vegetable that you like, you save the seeds and then you grew from that. You do that throughout time and you create essentially what's an heirloom, a fruit or vegetable that you just continue to grow from seeds that you had. What that does is it produces a better crop. It's more resilient, in your area, more resistant, in some cases because it's healthier and stronger based on where you are and how you're taking care of your soil and how you're feeding the plant. In some cases they actually come out tasting better as well. And it does help you in regards to, again, gaining that self-sufficiency because as long as you garden and you're saving your seeds and you continue to produce from it, you can pass that down to your family and they can do the same thing and so on and so forth, which is absolutely good. The question that I have is if our point or our purpose for doing it, saving seeds, is so that, we can produce a better fruit or better vegetable and so that it could become more acclimated to our environment, are we defeating the purpose when we buy bags of soil? I'm not asking that because I'm, saying that anybody's wrong for doing that, because I do it. Most of us do it. Well, I'm going to say a lot of us do it. You might have a situation where in a crunch you have to buy bags. And I mean, honestly, this year, during this growing season, I've bought a lot of soil bags. I've gotten a lot of, between soil and black cow and things like that, I got a lot of them. But is your seed really becoming more acclimated or better acclimated to your environment, to your soil, to your little ecosystem that you've set up if we're buying bags of soil? So just to kind of put it in perspective, what I'm referring to, you might have a brand that you like. Like there's a brand at Aldi that, they come out with their brand of soil, potting soil and garden soil for a short period of time. You look on the back of these bags, regardless of where you get them from, generally they come from another state. In some cases, depending on the brand, they may come from one state during one part of the year, then they come from somewhere else during another part of the year, or they may be a mixture of, soil that comes from different places, in some cases even out of the country. So when we use that, are we really acclimating these seeds to our ecosystem, to our soil, to our garden beds, to our, however you do it, whether it's pots, garden beds, raised beds, if you do it directly in the ground, if we're putting soil down that comes from other places, is that defeating the purpose of what we're trying to do? You might have a particular brand that you like. You might use that for a few years, it's coming from somewhere else. And then you might try a different brand because somebody, said, I use this to grow squash, and, it worked wonders. So you may want to give that a try, and that comes from somewhere totally different. Is that defeating the purpose? If it's not, and if I'm looking at it in the wrong way, let me know, because I want to have, discussion about it. But if it is, how do we remedy that? Like, what is the solution to that? The reason I thought about that is because there's this grasshopper that's been riding on my car for like the last probably 20 minutes. And he's like not going anywhere. He's still there. He was on one side of my car at one point, and now he's on a different side. But anyway, the reason I thought about that is because I mentioned before that in previous years, I used to compost a whole lot. But the area that I composted in, we had a lightning strike, a tree fell, and pretty much demolished my whole composting area. And as opposed to me trying to find a different place to compost in, I was just buying bags of soil. I have been able to, with the amount of compost that I used to produce, I used to be able to fill up. I had the one raised bed, and I used to be able to fill that up. And when the levels got low, because, of course, with it being compost, the soil levels are going to go down. They're going to degrade. I was able to refill it and then, fill pots and everything with it. But I didn't do that this year, and I've been kind of beating on myself for that, because I should have found a different area to compost in. I do the composting in place, which is great, but I've still had to buy a lot of soil bags, and I'm probably going to have to, I'm going to try not to, but I'm probably going to have to get more. But I feel like composting is a solution to that. I know that there's situations where you may not be able to compost in piles, like if you're in an apartment or a condo or a townhouse or something like that, you may not be able to do that. And it may be necessary, even for us that have land, in a crunch, to buy soil bags. But if self-sufficiency is our goal, because self-sufficiency is one step towards absolute freedom, having to rely on these stores or these retailers for soil bags, you're not self-sufficient in that case, because you're having to rely on somebody else to provide that for you. So I feel like one of the, solutions to that is composting. I've grown in compost. I mean, I've never had a problem with growing anything directly in just compost. I would do compost that I've made in piles, and I would mix that with some worm castings from some of the worm bins that I have, and I was always good. I remember one year I gave my mom some seeds from some butternut squash that I had grown the previous year, and I, grew from that the following year, and I gave her some seeds, and she actually lives in a townhouse. She grew her seeds. She had some squash that had started growing, but then the growth got stunted. And so she asked me what to do. I went to my piles, my compost piles, got her a bag of compost. I told her to put that around the base of the plant, water it in, and see what happens. And it took off. It took off wonderfully. Like, I've never had an issue growing in compost. I know, again, in certain situations, you may not be able to do piles, but there are other options for that. Broke Farmer 76 had this beautiful looking, I guess it was like a kitchen composter that I want to look into as well, where you can kind of compost in your kitchen. Take your kitchen scraps and just put it in that bin. From the way that it looked like it keeps the smell down, and you can kind of compost there, pour that in your pots, and grow it directly into that. That's not going to provide you with a lot of compost, but I feel like if more of us compost, maybe we can provide compost to someone that needs it. Like if I'm in the state of Virginia, if I have a gardening friend that gardens in an apartment in Virginia and they need compost, I can provide that to my gardening friend. You know, that way they don't have to buy soil bags, and that compost is coming from that same state or grow zone or whatever. But I just feel like, in my view, I feel like it's almost kind of defeating the purpose if we're buying soil bags. You know what I mean? With compost, you know, when you lay your piles and stuff like that down, you have the microbes and the insects that come from your ecosystem that get into those piles, and they break that stuff down. And then it really becomes a part of your native soil when you do that. But that's just like one solution that I've been able to come up with, again, because I've been beating myself up for not composting. You know, my beds have been doing pretty good with, you know, what I've been able to do, but I feel like they could have done better if, you know, I better prepared. But, you know, what do you all think? You know, just what are your thoughts on it? I'm not trying to ruffle feathers or make anybody feel like, oh, I shouldn't be buying bags. Nah, it's nothing like that. Because like I said, you know, a lot of us do it. I do it. I just feel like, you know, if our purpose is to grow a fruit or vegetable that is better acclimated to our little system, you know, it would be better if we could try to find ways to alleviate the need to purchase bags of soil. Also, you know, again, to me, it's about self-sufficiency. Like, yeah, we want to grow food, but why? Why are we wanting to grow food? Is it just because, like, in a crunch or if things shut down, we don't have to worry about a meal? Or is it because long-term we really want self-sufficiency? If that's the goal, again, you know, we have to figure out ways to produce what we need on our own without asking anyone to provide it for us. You know, you can be in a homestead, off the grid. You know, you don't rely on anybody for anything. Your house is paid for, your vehicles are paid for. You know, you're pretty much free. But if you have to do simple things like, and we look at it as a small thing, but it's really not if you look at it kind of in the grand scheme of things. If you got to purchase bags of soil, you're not totally free. You know, a part of you is still tethered to a system, you know, to where you have to go and take your currency and provide that to them so that they can give you a product. But if we're able to, you know, produce that product on our own, I feel like that is a step towards, again, self-sufficiency and really ultimately total and complete freedom. You know, but again, my logic and the way that I'm thinking about it may be wrong. I may be off. But let me know what you think in the comment section, because I kind of want it to be a discussion. Like, you know, and I may actually do a part 2 based on the responses that I get. But I really want to know what you all think, because if I'm thinking about it in the wrong way, then correct me, because I don't like beating up on myself, but that's what I've been doing probably over the last few months. So I'm not going to, this has actually been longer than what I anticipated. So I'm going to go and, you know, wait to hear from you guys. And I appreciate you all tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Peace and self-sufficiency. Keep doing God's work. What's up, dude? You a trooper. Stay out of my garden, though. Yeah, you. You're beautiful. But stay out of my garden, bruh.